I went into this movie going, am I really still excited about the Avatar series? And then coming out going, yes, I am definitely still excited about the Avatar series.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Luke.
And I'm Becca, and we're talking about movies like we know stuff.
Hey everyone. So we just saw Avatar Fire and Ash. It was the third film in the Avatar trilogy. And for this one, as a quick summary, is basically the same plot as the second one, where there's an evil human force with some help of some aliens, except this time there's more aliens and they have fire.
Right.
And Jake Sully and his family and the other tribes of the Na'vi have to try to fend them off again. So that's the general summary.
That's good enough.
For Avatar Fire and Ash. I know that summary probably doesn't sell this movie very well, at least in my opinion, but that is the basic gist of this movie. We'll start off by doing a spoiler-free review, and then we'll let you guys know when we're switching over to spoilers. And if you stick around after that, then it's your fault if you hear spoilers.
Yep.
So
you were warned.
You were warned. Rebecca, why don't you kick us off with some high-level thoughts? What did you think of the movie?
You know, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I figured that I would.
Yeah.
It's still one of the better 3D movies. I feel like it's really the only one worth seeing.
I should comment that we saw it in the big widescreen with 3D. We didn't get the motion chairs because I think that's just pretty gimmicky, but we saw it in 3D on the big screen with the surround sound, and they had like the subwoofers that like rattled your seats and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, it was a good experience. Yeah,
it's hard to beat the first movie for 3D because that felt so groundbreaking. I really felt like I could like reach out and touch.
Did we see that together? I don't think I saw
the first one.
Yeah,
the first one came out when I was in college.
Okay, so
and
then
you weren't in college,
yes.
so no. But I remember
I was in college, just not your college.
Yes.
Make me sound dumb.
I think you would have been in high school actually.
When did it come out?
2009.
Oh yeah. You're right. I wasn't in college.
So, anyways, no, I remember seeing it with a friend, and I felt like I could reach out and touch those little like floaty things.
Yeah, yeah.
Like floaty, wispy things.
Yeah, I definitely did not see it in 3D then. My home theater did not have 3D in it for a long time.
Right.
I don't even know if it still has 3D in it. It might not. I know it definitely has like the high def widescreen, but I don't think it has 3D in it.
Well, still worth seeing. Even though I feel like it's not as groundbreaking as it was years and years ago.
Right, yeah.
But still absolutely beautiful animation, very satisfying fight sequences. The stories are all pretty similar across, like you said. It's the bad humans and the mostly good but nuanced Na'vi.
Right.
And the disrespect of nature.
Right. Yes. Always a continuing theme in these movies.
On the other side, admiration and adoration of nature and family. And really, this movie isn't saying anything new compared to what the others.
Sure.
I'm not walking away with a new lesson. That's not bad, but I got what I expected.
Right. Yeah, agreed. I think the movie, I actually thought I was going into this movie tonight thinking, am I tired of Avatar? Like, what else could they possibly tell? And I mean, by my synopsis, they really don't tell much of a new story. I guess there's enough new that it makes it interesting, but it's not that new. But I still walked away very entertained and very happy with the movie. Like, it didn't feel like a rehash. It didn't feel like, okay, I keep saying that, and then my summary basically says it's a rehash, which I get, but like, it felt new.
But it's an enjoyable rehash.
Yeah.
It's not like original Scooby-Doo, where they use the same animation for so many of the episodes, but it's threw in a different villain. So
right.
It's not that lazy.
No, it's not.
Still
it's not.
Crafted very beautifully, even if it's the same song.
Yeah. And props to Weta, the special effects team for this movie. They are fantastic. They continue to push the boundaries of special effects, especially with these movies. They're just so impressive in what they do. And this movie is over 3 hours long. And I was entertained the whole way through. There was never one point where I was like, okay, this is boring, we can move on from this plot point, or anything like that.
Yeah, I can't completely agree on the length. I was feeling the length at the end, particularly like in the climax. It was so long, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that because we just watched the Stranger Things finale and the final battle was so short, so this one felt like it was 4 hours.
Yeah. Spoilers, by the way. Anything else you want to say in terms of the spoiler-free review for you?
I do feel like I wish I would have watched the second one right before this because
That's a good point.
Because a good number of years have passed, not as long between 1 and 2, but enough that I didn't remember that human kid.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the human kid.
I didn't remember that one of Jake Sully's sons died.
I forgot that part. I did forget that part. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are pretty big points. And even I found myself doing a couple Googles during the movie to try to refresh myself.
Were you really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So I wish I would have maybe watched it, or at the very least had watched a recap. I could have really used an anime TV recap special of in the last episode.
Yeah, right. In the last episode of Avatar.
Or at the very least, I feel like this is a movie that I wish I could have gotten subtitles for.
Sure.
That would have been so helpful, I think, in following the nitty-gritty pieces.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with
Names
that.
of minor characters,
Yes.
or reminder of the valuable mineral they're mining for. Things like that would have been helpful because it's a very loud movie. You know?
Right.
Loud music, loud special effects,
Yes.
lots of people yelling on battlefields.
Right.
And it does start to blend. So I feel like if we watch this at home, I'm going to understand the nuanced story beats better.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, like you said, they're not mining for the minerals from episode 1 or whatever it was called, the first movie. They're hunting for the same thing as in the second movie, which is the whale juice.
See, and I didn't remember that at all. How did you remember so much?
Yeah, I remember the whale juice.
You remembered so much. I didn't remember anything. I just remember there's water people now, and the Kate Winslet character was mean. And that's what I mostly remember.
Yeah.
Oh, and it works out, I guess.
And it works out. Yeah, exactly. For the most part-ish. Yeah.
Yes. Oops.
Oh, well, that's okay. It's been way too many years between this one and the last one.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I think there are still 2 more coming. As long as, knock on wood, the director doesn't pass away.
The director is around. Yeah, it's funny because, again, I don't feel like there's anything else to say, but they'll probably still be good.
Yeah.
They will probably be good.
They'll
if
still
we
be
have any
entertaining.
more. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, that wraps up our spoiler-free section of our review. We're going to take a little pause here, and then we'll get into the spoilers. So if you don't want any spoilers, click away now. Oh, before you leave, like, comment, and subscribe.
Go enjoy this 3.5-hour movie. Okay, so spoiler time. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, because clearly you remember the second movie better than I do.
I don't remember it that well, but I remember it maybe slightly better than you do, yeah.
I feel like this movie, and I would say this was interesting, it had more religious themes than the other two.
Yes, it did.
That they were really, really focusing on faith in the God of this world. And you saw, and it really didn't become apparent to me until the evil tribe, like the Ash tribe, which is basically they're the fire people.
Yes, yeah.
We're talking about how their tribe was wiped out by a great fire, their God did not come to save them, and they've responded by being godless. We take our destiny into our own hands.
Right.
We use fire now as a weapon.
Right, exactly.
And you compare that to the water tribe, or the tribe that Jake was originally from.
I think the Sky tribe, I think.
Sky tribe.
Maybe.
And they're clearly very...
The normal tribe.
the most normal tribe.
The average tribe, yeah.
But clearly the good tribes are much more God-fearing, is they put faith in a divine power.
Right.
They put faith in a great plan. They mentioned it often.
Right.
And then the other religious symbolism definitely was Jake almost taking the life of his adopted son.
Right.
Very slaughtering of Isaac.
Yeah, very Abraham and Isaac-y, yeah.
That he was willing to do that
Yeah.
for the good
Right, it's true.
of his people.
Yeah. Not in any way directly tied to the Bible story, but in the same kind of idea. I
In the
guess,
same
yeah.
vein of
yeah.
this is for the good.
Right, exactly.
That I need to do this.
Yeah, right.
So I thought that was interesting, especially in a with our modern society being more anti-God, anti-organized religion of any sense. I thought that was interesting. They were really harping upon that.
Yeah.
Or that it just felt like a clear message, is that the tribe that wasn't God-fearing were the...
We're the bad tribe.
were the anarchists who were only living for themselves with no moral compass.
Right, yeah. And I think they can get away with it, number one, because it's hidden under the layer of the fact that it's an alien planet. And number two, that the Avatar movie clearly takes influence from African culture and religion and tribes. And so I think that's probably why it works in Hollywood, I think.
Why they could get away with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was just more overt than I think any of the other films made it.
Yeah, agreed.
Or even the very beginning of the movie where, near the beginning, and Jake is talking to his wife and she's deep in grief and he's really encouraging her to kind of cast away her religion. And she says, my faith is all I have left.
Right, yeah.
And I've had to leave my home. I've lost one of my children.
Right.
I've experienced countless loss. Like, this is all I have. You can't take this from me, even if you don't understand why I have this.
Yeah, this one definitely very much heavily focused on the religion in the Avatar world, because the first one, it was just used as a catalyst to catapult the rest of the series, basically. The second one,
and to
I don't
make
think
things
it was
happen.
Yeah,
explain
right.
like why some characters died and why some didn't.
Right, exactly. And then the second one, I think they kind of skipped it almost entirely, if I remember correctly.
I just don't remember as much of a focus.
No, and then this one was
very
very heavily focused on it. So
it was interesting.
It was interesting. Yeah, it's again, because it was basically the same story, there were still interesting things to think about or dissect about this fictional world that is being created. And I appreciate that very much about this series, is that the writing is very well done. Everything seems relatively grounded in the magic or lore or what can and cannot happen in this world. It nothing to me went like, oh, this just happened so that the plot could happen. You know?
Like, it's solid world building.
Yeah, exactly. Like, none of it jumped out to me like, okay, that would never ever happen in this world. But they had to do it so that the movie could continue. Everything in this world felt like it had purpose and meaning and direction, and it fit right in with the writing.
It's very structured.
It is.
Every tribe has their laws. Even different species have their laws of their communities that they can't be broken.
Yeah, and the Awa, the goddess of these tribes, has her own laws and rules and how she can operate in the world. And yeah, it's really concrete, really grounded, which can't be said by a lot of today's movies, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It really can't.
Yeah.
I think this movie is definitely a diamond in the rough in the sense that it can state that. So
Like, it holds its ground.
it does. It really does. So one thing I want to call out as maybe a slight negative to this movie is Sigourney Weaver's character. I like Sigourney Weaver. I respect her as an actress. Her character being so young and Sigourney Weaver being unfortunately much older, her voice has matured significantly more. And so her character looks like a child and is referred to as a child in the series, but her voice is so...
Is she the voice of, like, Kiri?
She's the voice of Kiri, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so her voice just doesn't match up with Kiri at all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I really like Sigourney Weaver, but I just don't think her voice fits the age of her character in the Avatar world. So that was sort of
It took you out.
negative to me. Yeah, exactly. Another positive thing I want to say about the writing, I should have probably mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I appreciate that this movie also takes its time. Now, granted, 3 hours,
Man,
20,
it takes its time.
3 hours, 20 minutes is a long time to take, but I appreciate it as far as the writing goes, though, in the sense that things take time. So in this movie, Neytiri gets hurt in a battle, and her recovery is not the next scene. It's a few scenes after that. You see her, training her bow arm to get better and all that kind of stuff. And so, most other movies would be like, she was hurt and now she's all better and she can go back into the fighting, Like, there's a limitation that she has for at least a few minutes on screen. I appreciated stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it grounds this fantasy world in more realism because everything isn't just like a cartoon.
Right.
Where damage doesn't really happen, like only death stops people.
Yeah. All right, I got a couple gun ones just because I have some specialty in that area.
Yeah, definitely more than me.
But the first one is when the Ash and Fire tribe lady pulls the bullet out of one of her dead soldiers. I'm pretty sure, I have to go back and watch the movie again, but I'm pretty sure she pulled out an entire bullet, like, with the shell in it. And
wouldn't it have like exploded?
Well, the shell stays in the gun, and the
Okay.
bullet comes out of it. She pulled out a bullet and a shell together, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And I'm
what
like,
kind of gun
that's
shoots
not
is like-
how guns work, So I hope I'm wrong on that one, but I thought that's what happened. So maybe someone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that one, but that's what I thought happened. The other one is, I love how bad guys in movies are always like, I'll just shoot it. Something bad is happening. Let me just shoot at it. Like when they had the one good guy in the human scientist or whatever starts driving the bulldozer through the base or whatever,
Right, and
all the bad guys just shoot at it, and like with not even like aiming for the cab where the guy's at. They're just shooting at the blade of the bulldozer, and it's like, oh no, something's happening. Let me just shoot at it. It's the dumbest response ever. And Avatar's not exclusive in this issue, but it was just funny.
Yeah, I mean, especially since the bulldozer was like the size of a cruise ship.
I
like,
know,
I don't know
right?
what they thought they were
They're
gonna
like,
do.
let me shoot it. That'll fix things. It's so dumb. So anyway, so that's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about in terms of the gun stuff. Again, echoing the fact that this movie kind of copies the second Avatar movie is there's always one or two or three dudes with morals. You know, it's like, we're the big bad evil corporation, but there's one scientist who's like, you're hurting nature, and they help the good guys win.
I agree. Actually, I wrote that down as a con as well, which I said, I feel like these movies have done a good job showing nuance in the tribes, except for like the Ash tribe. Clearly they're bad, we don't like them.
Right.
But like everybody else, there's some nuance, and there's nuance in the species, again, how the world works. But when it comes to every other human character, like you said, except for one or two,
Right.
it's just stupid corporate military thugs. We just want to make money and America, and everybody is bad.
Yes.
But us, and we love guns.
Right.
And that's,
And destroying nature.
we hate nature.
We hate nature most of all.
And I do believe there's people like that. I do believe that there's characters like that. But that's somewhere I feel like this series needs to grow.
Yeah.
Is that I believe that there can be some psychopathic characters like that for sure.
Absolutely.
But it's too black and white.
Yeah. Agreed. Again, I hate harping on it and the fact that it's kind of a duplicate, but this is my last point in that regard. The final location, the final battle location, it's the exact same. It's on a floating ship again. I'm like,
Isn't it always on a floating ship?
not all. The second one, or the first one, wasn't on a floating ship. It was a one-on-one duel with Sully and the Colonel in his like power suit or whatever.
Yeah.
But the second one and this one both end on the military ship.
Yeah.
And it's sinking. Or I guess this one technically gets sucked up into the giant metal vortex, but it's like, I honestly, I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm having deja vu here. This feels like the same movie. I honestly thought I was having deja vu for a second.
Yeah, that's...
Again, it's a very entertaining movie. I really enjoy it. I think people should go see it. But there's a lot of copy-paste from the second one.
There's a lot of... If you were showing scenes out of context in a couple of years, especially between like the second and the third one, I don't think I could confidently match them to the right installment.
Agreed. Yeah, there are a couple scenes where you're like, tell me if this is the second or third one. And I don't think people could tell the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, you got some points here. I got one concluding point, but you got some points here. Let me know what you got here.
Sure. So, again, most of the movie did really work for me, but there were a couple of things that were just a little like silly or cringy. I thought that the script could have used another eye, like silly things that they said.
Like what? Sorry, I put you on the spot.
Like there were just some silly out of place things that I can't remember. The one I can for sure remember is Spider, like the human character saying like, take that buttholes, like, in the middle of a battle.
Yeah.
Like, you can say,
Right? I know,
you're 16 at least, right? Like you're grown.
Yeah, exactly.
And there were some other lines that people were kind of giggling at. It felt a little like Disney, the way some of the lines were read or jokes.
Yeah, I got
Or probably mostly from Spider. I feel like they kind of did him dirty with the script where Jake's walking him away to maybe sacrifice him, and he keeps talking about having to pee. He mentions it many times.
I thought he went in the stream at that point in time.
Many times.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they were just trying to make it more of a family film.
Yeah, right.
But
Well, this movie is not a family film. I wouldn't take children to see this.
I would take like an older kid.
Yeah, I would take like a tween or above.
But I wouldn't take like a 5-year-old to this.
Definitely not. Yeah, no.
And there were a couple other things that made me giggle, like the Transformer suit. When the evil like military woman's in her Transformer suit and it's doing the same arm movements as her, but they're just like silly things, like she puts her hands on her hips.
Yes, I laughed at that too. The Transformer put its arms on her hips too.
I was like, oh, I don't really see the point. Also, why did they cast like a 5'3" woman who looks like the local librarian to be the big bad military person besides Miles whoever?
Hollywood seems to be doing that lately, unfortunately.
I don't know. That that was a choice.
Yeah.
But there was a couple things that just felt like one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah,
and like,
it's true.
I don't know, like a joke about buttholes felt like it didn't need to exist in this epic tale.
Yeah.
Another thing that caught me off guard is I had the vibe for the whole movie that Kiri and Spider had a sibling relationship, that she was like an older sister.
Mm-hmm.
I was caught off by the kiss.
Oh, yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Felt very the last Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Where we went, what?
Yeah.
That's just not the vibe I got. I
Yeah.
felt like she was a very motherly older sister
Yeah. Yeah.
role,
It was weird.
and that he was just like an adorable scamp kid brother
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of filling out their family after loss.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
So before you go to your concluding points, because you remember clearly this whole universe better than I do.
Okay.
I don't remember how Spider's father betrayed him. I didn't even remember he existed. So of course I don't remember how his father betrayed him. So why he has like no allegiance to his human father anymore.
I honestly don't remember either. I mean, just knowing how the Colonel is, I think he was just extremely legalistic.
He's just a bad guy.
He's just
so.
extremely legalistic, and I'm sure Spider didn't like that or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, it's not surprising that he wouldn't be a good dad.
Right, exactly.
I just thought that maybe since you were this wealth of Avatar detail
No,
knowledge.
I am not. I am not the expert on
You
this.
remembered the whale juice? I don't remember the
I
whale
remember
juice.
the whale juice, yeah. Just because I thought it was an odd pivot from minerals to whale juice, but they had to do something when they were converting from land avatar to water avatar. They're like, well, we can't mine for minerals anymore, or it'd be much more complicated, so let's just do whale juice. It's worth a lot of money. Yeah. So, unfortunately, I do not know the answer to that. Maybe one of our audience members can tell us in the comments.
Yes.
That'd be great. All right, I have two hypothetical questions for you, just because we're waxing poetic about the future.
Yes.
And the next potentially 2 Avatar movies that are coming out. I have 2 questions for you. The first one, is the Ash tribe going to convert to the side of the water, air, and average tribes?
Probably.
You think so?
Well, they didn't kill the main baddie.
Right, that's true.
You know, they didn't kill Rob Stark's wife.
Right, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Like, I feel like that would be kind of a cool pivot for the movie, but it has to make sense. And right now it won't make sense because their leader is so obsessed with power.
Mm-hmm, so bloodthirsty.
So bloodthirsty. That, like, I initially had that thought because I'm like, oh, the Colonel is clearly showing his dominance over this lady.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not going to end up liking the fact that he's in charge and she's not anymore. So maybe she goes to their side to fight him instead. But then that doesn't make any sense either because then she wouldn't be the leader of that group
And the
either.
Colonel also commits.
Unalive.
Right, yeah, well.
Well.
Knowing the Colonel, he's going to be fine and he'll show up for the 4th movie and be the bad guy for the 4th movie again.
But I would say him committing is
Unalive.
way more believable than him being like, let's get along.
Oh, yeah,
or
absolutely.
Jumping on the one helicopter that didn't blow up.
Right, yeah, no, agreed. Okay, so that was my first hypothetical question. My second one is, did you notice that Jake's, I think it's his oldest son? Is it his oldest son or his second oldest? I can't remember which one passed away.
I feel like his oldest son passed away.
His oldest son passed away. Okay. So his second oldest son started narrating in the middle of the movie. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm, I did.
Yeah, and so I'm like, uh-oh, are they gonna kill Jake off? Like that'd be a bold thing to do.
Bold thing.
Yeah, but I'm like, maybe they're warming us up for maybe the end of the 5th one. Maybe they'll kill him off because they're getting us so used to his son narrating.
Yeah, if they keep going, then they're going to need to eventually establish a new leader, which could maybe be not until the epilogue of the last movie.
Exactly. And unfortunately, changing main characters is pretty tough. I mean, I know a lot of shows that have tried to do that, and the audience revolted. They just wanted the old character back.
Yeah, it's generally a disaster.
Yeah, so if they try to do that, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. So those are my 2 hypotheticals, but yeah, that was an exciting movie. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
So the only thing I want to say is I did enjoy it. I feel like I did feel the length of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is more of a me issue than a movie issue.
Sure.
But I feel like because we just binged the last season of Stranger Things,
Right.
I am just exhausted
Yeah,
of stress and violence.
for long periods
and
of time.
Every moment being a cliffhanger.
Sure, yeah.
That I just needed a gosh darn break.
You need a candy film, yeah.
And
this was not that.
This was so It was good, but it was long and it was stressful.
When we were getting ready to go to the theaters, it cracked me up when you found out that this movie was over 3 hours long. And I'm like, I was fully expecting this movie to be at least 3 hours.
I knew it would be long, but I thought it might hit 3 hours, not over. And it was just a lot of violence and a lot of nail biting and a lot of death and almost death. And it was just a lot. And I don't think I would have felt as fatigued during like the third act battle if maybe I hadn't been watching a lot of very like violent, stressful things.
Sure, yeah. So maybe mistiming on that part.
That I feel like I should have seen this first and then Zootopia 2
Yeah, maybe.
after the Stranger Things finale.
Yeah, there you go.
It was just a lot.
Yes.
But I do also think the movie could have been a little more succinct. I think it could have been a 3-hour movie. I'm not saying it should have been drastically shorter, but I don't think it needed to be over.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I would have cut. We don't have to solve that answer now, but I'm wondering what I could have cut from what could be cut from the script that would bring it down to 3 hours.
Yeah, it's just the hype and the battles, they're a little too painful. They're a little too drawn out. I don't know if I want to be in the heat of an actual battle happening in real time until the last person is stabbed. That's a lot for
too much for you?
an average viewer, I think.
That's fair. No, that's a fair critique. Yeah. So to wrap this sort of up before we give scores to our movie, I would say this movie is one of the few that I would recommend you try to go out and see. And if you can, see it in 3D.
I agree.
See it in the big screen. Spend a little extra money, get some recliner seats because strap in, it's a long movie. But I think this is one of the few that I would recommend. You should definitely go out and try to see this movie in theaters. It's worth the experience.
I agree.
Yeah, very good. All right. Well, let's put some numbers to the movie.
You're going first.
Okay. I figured that was what you were going to say, but I wasn't sure. I'm going to give this movie a 9.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I really liked it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It reinvigorated me for the Avatar series. That's really what kicked it up so high for me.
Yeah.
Again, despite all my comments about how it's basically sort of a copy-paste from movie 2, I went into this movie going, am I really still excited about the Avatar series? And then coming out going, yes, I am definitely still excited about the Avatar series.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's worthy of a 9 then.
Yeah.
I'd say 7.5.
Okay. Probably most of your penalties for time?
Time is definitely a penalty.
Okay.
And a couple of dissonant things that they could have taken out to make me take the movie a little bit more seriously. There's some things that they were just sillying it up that I just didn't think was necessary.
Sure.
So I think it should have been an 8. It's a close 8.
Yeah?
But
you don't do decimals.
now I do.
Oh.
I changed my mind on that several videos
You did, that's right.
ago. But it's still above average.
Okay.
It's still definitely an above average film.
Okay. So
And it's worth a theatrical experience. I'm glad I saw it. I'm not going to rewatch it a lot because
when you have that time.
I am mortal and my time on this earth is finite, so
That's
I can't
true.
watch a 3-hour and 20-minute video movie on the fly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that wraps up our rambling
Yeah.
thoughts on the third Avatar movie. But please tell us, did you see it? If you saw it, did you remember anything about 2? Like I didn't?
Yeah.
Did you think this was a solid installment or more of the same in a bad way? We'd be curious to know.
Yeah. Let us know. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.